Hey guys, it's Miss Allen. Today we are going to be making some really cool snowflakes and using tissue paper to do a transfer of the colors to make it kind of look tie-dye. So this is what it's going to look like when it's done, and I think it's super pretty. I'm not sure the lighting in here does these colors justice, but it is so cool to watch this work. So for this project, you need to make sure you have some colored tissue paper. It needs to be called art paper, and I have all of these blues and purples for mine. Art tissue, excuse me, that was the term. If not that, it just needs to be a tissue paper that will bleed when it gets wet. And bleed means it will let go of the dye inside of it and let it go over top of the paper that we're putting it on. So you need tissue paper. You need Sharpie, you need a nice piece of white paper or a light colored piece of paper. This is cardstock, thicker piece. If you have watercolor paper, that would be the best, but I have cardstock, so that's what I'm going to be using. And when we get to it, you'll need a water cup and a paintbrush. I'm using a flat paintbrush. I'm not sure how well you can see that, but this just helps spread water quicker and easier. You do not have to use that type of a brush, but a flat brush does work better. So let's get started. First thing we've got to do is we've got to draw some snowflakes. Now I'm going to teach 3 pretty simple ones, but you can obviously make up your own kind of a snowflake. Snowflakes come in lots of different shapes and sizes. But I'm just going to draw with my Sharpie. If that makes you nervous, you can draw with a pencil and then and then trace over it with the Sharpie. That will make it nice and dark. You do need to use Sharpie or some other type of permanent marker. Regular markers probably will not work today, so something permanent. And if I'm going to draw a snowflake, I don't want them all to be in a straight line. I'm going to kind of go along the page in different spots. First snowflake I'm going to do is probably the easiest one. I'm going to make a nice straight line. And forgive me, I know this camera angle is really hard to see. So I paused my video just so you can see my screen a little bit better. I'm just going to prop it up. I don't have my easel with me today, so this is just going to have to be how it works. But I did a nice straight line. I'm going to make an X that goes through this line. Doesn't have to be perfect. Mine's not too perfect. I got a little long on that side. I can always make the ends of these longer to kind of balance it out a little bit. But once you have this shape, when it has 6 points, that's a typical snowflake. You're going to give it some V's. So I'm going to make a little V on the arm, make a second V, and I'm going to do that to all of these points. So that's a real simple one. If you want to make a little bit fancier of a snowflake, you can start with a circle for the middle. I'm going to come up with a line and down with a line. Try to make them the same size. I'm going to start on the circle and make a diagonal and another diagonal. So that kind of looks like a K or a backwards K. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Out at a diagonal. Diagonal, remember, means leaning, and out. Once you have that, I'm going to put a circle at the ends of my line. And then I am going to do a couple little V's. So I got a little wonky because I'm drawing upside down, but not too bad. One more over here. one more big one. And you can start it this way or this way. We're going to make it fancier, but you can pick which one you liked better. I'm just going to do the easy one with a nice line and an X. Cool. So once you have this, I'm going to make a small circle between each of these arms, and I'm kind of trying to keep them the same distance. That's a little better. That's a little crooked up here probably. But once you have that, you are going to connect these dots to the arms that are beside them. And I'm going to do that with a diagonal line going down towards the center. So if I start on the dot and come down, I touch a line, start on a dot, come down, touch a line. Now when I make the next one, I want to try to connect where that one touched. Same with this one. All the way around, just like that. So once I have that, I can put the little V's on the ends to make it finished. So those are three pretty simple ones. You can tell they look like snowflakes. They're very similar to each one, to each other. So while I have this picture, I'm going to do a couple little snowflakes kind of floating around the edges of these bigger ones. I don't want too many, maybe 2 or 3 in each of these blank spaces, but this is just a little star that I'm making. You can make it more complicated than that. You can do like copy one of these or all of these again in a smaller form. I just thought I'd take it easy on myself and do the other one. So now that I have that done, we are going to do some tissue paper bleeding on top of it to make it look really cool. So I went and got a green piece of paper to go under this so I don't mess it up. First thing you have to do is you are going to take your brush that has water on it and you're going to wet the paper all the way across. So once it's wet, and you can see I went all the way across because I'm getting some color bleeding there, you're going to pick a color of tissue paper and you're going to lay it on top of your picture. Once you lay it on top, you're going to get more water on your brush and you're going to paint this down. Once I have one, I can do more. I can get as many as I want, but I can overlap, I can change colors, I can keep it all the same color if I wanted to, but I think it's a lot prettier if we switch colors. So I'm going to do all of this paper doing this. Once you have the whole paper covered, I think it's good practice if you just go ahead and take water and sweep back over it. This is just really going to make those colors bind to the paper. Now that I've done that, I have to let it wait for 5 minutes before I can peel it off. You can peel it off a little sooner, but I find 5 minutes is kind of like optimal because it can start to dry a little bit and it's easier to peel off. So now we wait. So once it's dry, we can peel off the paper. And it looks so cool. Ta-da! And it's done. You can turn it any way that you like to. I'm just going to keep it this way since this is the way I drew it. So I hope you guys had a lot of fun making these. Let these dry, and if it starts curling up on the edge, put a heavy book on it to make it nice and flat for you again. But I hope you guys had fun, and I'll see you later. Bye.